Gilman was showing technique, and he said, now, I like ancient warriors, so think about an ancient warrior. Now, my favorite ancient warrior is the Viking. Now, when you think about the Viking and their armaments, the Viking has his big battle axe and his small daggers. So when I'm wrestling, I like to think my legs are like the battle axe and my hands are like the daggers. But he's going to win here.
That's, yeah. No, I mean, he has a very clear understanding of his skill set based on that. Whatever analogies you need to figure out your stuff. I mean, if more MMA fighters were using, weaponry and like warrior culture analogies to make sense of their game, I'd be happy about it. Whatever it takes that you can actually like visualize the purpose of your techniques. Yeah, Gilman's a weird guy, but he definitely reads a lot, which respect because reading is hard. Cool. Another rematch from college. This time, the rematch isn't that significant because one guy won every time they wrestled, and I think pinned him like almost every time. But we have three-time NCAA champion Zane Rutherford versus Ali Pantalio, who I believe is a two-time All-American. I'm guessing.
I think three, but yeah.
Three. Yeah, Pantalio was always one of my favorite, like, not champion kind of guys, just because super athletic, has a pretty wide variety of scores that he can get to. I thought he was going to translate so well to freestyle, and he's, like, about as good as he was in college in freestyle. And it doesn't really make sense to me because his skill set seems like it should be so much better suited to just taking people down, but it's been, like, the same. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. But Zane obviously has made 2 world teams and had a really brutal draw every time he's gone to a major competition, and everyone hates him because he keeps, keeping really cool guys off the team and then not winning medals, and it's not his fault, but that's like 65's thing for the U.S. It's like we always have somebody really cool or like a bunch of interesting contenders to go out and then no medal. So that's not Zane's fault, but Zane's still very good. He did get pinned by Destribats, I think that's how you say it, from Argentina at the Pan Am qualifiers. So is the weight not qualified?
The weight is not qualified. We got to go through. You got to go through the last chance qualifier, which is going to have Aliyev from Azerbaijan is not qualified. Khinchegashvili is not qualified.
Oh my God.
Turkey and Iran are not qualified. If Gedzhiev from Poland gets down, they're not qualified. It's going to be tough.
Does he have to place? Does he have to medal?
Top 2.
Top 2?
I think it's top 2. So if you get Aliyev on the same side.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's so unfair because I can totally see Zane making the Olympic team and then not qualifying the weight and not going to the Olympics, and everyone like, oh, Zane's, it sucks. We need a new system. I'm like, no, it's just, well, yeah, it's Zane's fault.
No,
not
what we need is
a
new world system because Kazakhstan and Mongolia are qualified.
Right.
And those guys that we listed are not. And there's not really anything you can do about that.
Right.
Africa and Oceania get 2 qualifiers.
In the system's defense, Pan Am qualifiers are like some of the easiest ones to get through.
It's just stupid that it's top 2 because then it's all about the draw.
Right.
Where at every weight it's the U.S. and Cuba, and you hope you can avoid Cuba.
Right.
And that's why everyone was so mad at Zane, is because he didn't even lose to Cuba.
He lost to Argentina. I don't want to laugh at him, but it's like a cursed weight. Like nothing good ever happens there for us outside of domestic competition, and we're really good there. But the world is very, very, very good there.
Really, really, really good there.
So that stinks. But is Zane gonna attack him?
I don't know. Probably not. Zane doesn't do that much on top in freestyle, which seems weird, but I mean,
he doesn't have as much time.
Yeah, he actually probably is going to attack him because pace is going to matter in this match, like conditioning. And like I think when you're
Pantaleo
not really
sometimes has
when
issues
you're
there.
when you're not really peaking for anything. He probably is wrestling senior nationals, but I feel like he could definitely, put up 6 or 8 in the second.
Mm-hmm. Do you know the
Pantaleo's
weight
been good.
class for
No,
this?
that's what I was gonna say. I haven't seen anything. I kind of think they're like open weight. They
Yeah,
should be, but they might do one of those stupid things where they
make them weigh in at some arbitrary number.
just like whatever the bigger person naturally weighs, they just call that the weight class. Pantaleo's good. I think he'll
Yeah.
be in that. If James Green sticks with it, then he'll probably be the guy at 70, and there's a big group chasing him.
Mm-hmm.
But Pantaleo's close to the front of that.
Yeah.
They're all so close. He could be anywhere between second and eighth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'll make some national teams in the next few years.
Yeah. If what I think happens is going to happen, and Green eventually phases out, and then like Brian Deacon starts making teams, then Pantaleo,
Pantaleo crushed
yeah,
Deacon
he beat
in
him a bunch of
college.
times. So I think he, at the very least, he's got future national teams with his name on it at 70 kilograms. But yeah, this is just how can I pick him to beat Zane when Zane always beats him? Like bad, really bad. But yeah, I mean, theoretically, maybe if this was a cage wrestling match, if this was not submission, wrestling underground, and Pantaleo was like a 74 kilogram guy, and then Zane was like preparing to compete at 65 and was like cutting weight, and there was a big size discrepancy, maybe I could see it. But I mean, it's a regular wrestling match, and I think the weight difference won't be that much. And it's going to go ahead and pick Zane because that makes a lot of sense. Cool. And I'm assuming you're picking Zane as well. I think you said that.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Interesting. So we talked a little bit about Nolf before.
Mm-hmm.
3-time NCAA champion, very exciting wrestler. Haven't seen a lot of him consistently since he graduated because of injuries. He gets injured like every year, and it sucks. And it's like always the same thing, or it's like the other knee or something like that. And yeah, for someone with his style, where I wouldn't say he does like a lot of funk, but he does a lot of unusual things that put his knees in danger. And it's not like those are the things that made him good. He could win without all of that. He just liked to experiment. But I mean, it's going to take away your motion, your explosion, and your stability. So obviously, knee injuries are bad, and they affect your whole game, not just your funky stuff. So I'm forever worried about Nolf and his health. He did compete pretty recently. He beat Jordan Oliver at that exhibition. That was a weird match. Not really anything happened. And then Oliver like sold out on something near the end, and Nolf scored, but nothing really happened there. McFadden will make stuff happen. We saw him at Wrestling Underground beat Tommy Gant, and as you said when we recapped that, he attacked a lot. I think that just my initial impression, I think that'll actually play into Nolf's hands, where he doesn't actually have to create the attacks as much, and he can just wrestle. I'm interpreting it as he is that much better. That if he can just get him near him and get into situations where his legs are available, he'll be able to create scores and make stuff happen. But I don't know. It's kind of a dangerous matchup, I suppose, if he doesn't totally hold up. And McFadden is a good size 74 at this point, so it could be interesting. You had some notes there. I think you see some contention in this match.
I think it's probably correct to just assume Nolf is better, but it's partly just how healthy, how sharp Nolf is. But I mean, McFadden, I think his length could be an issue where if you just kind of misread the distance, because he is bigger than anyone Nolf has really wrestled. And if you kind of just misjudge the distance and, think, you've got this shot handled when you don't, McFadden can maybe catch him a couple times, but I think, like you said, he probably just puts himself into worse position. He'll shoot into a head pinch or a re-attack. Nolf is really good scoring on his opponent's shot. And McFadden isn't like he's a decent finisher, but if it gets into like a scramble position, he's not that great. And so he gives himself more of a chance than somebody like I don't know who is someone that was overmatched, like Cruz, I guess.
Mhm.
Like Cruz, I just don't really see what he could do to win. Like McFadden, you can kind of imagine how it would happen, but more likely he just gives up a lot of points and he loses like 12-2.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me. And despite McFadden's good performance over Gant, he did, lose to Jake Wenzel and didn't look so hot before that. And we're assuming he's over whatever that was, but it might just be that he's not quite there yet. So definitely picking Nolf, and I hope he looks good, and I hope he stays healthy through his run at 74. I don't expect him to make a team at 74 kilograms if he's healthy because it's the Burroughs, Dake, whoever weight Imar. But yeah, I'd like him to beat Imar. I think that'd be a good sign if he can finally do that again. Hasn't beaten him since he pinned him in the dual meet back in the day. So yeah, I'm always on the Nolf train. I'm a big fan because I'm a PA homer. So NCAA champion Mike Machiavello, who has made a really great transition to freestyle. He's gonna be wrestling Kyle Snyder, and yeah, Machiavello like apparently didn't know how to wrestle, like didn't know the rules of wrestling when he got into college. Like I don't know what he was doing before in high school, but apparently like they had to teach him about stalling and top and bottom rules and all that. And he was just kind of going with it, just winging it. So that's kind of encouraging. He started from that point, and he worked his way up to NCAA champion by the end of his college career. And yeah, he's been around. He's been doing good. He competed at the Alans, which I watched pretty closely. He made it to the medal match, which was really impressive. It was a super stacked tournament. It was at 92 kilograms, which isn't the best weight in the world, but still to jump out of college and do that is pretty awesome. Second at the Farrell, lost to Kyle Snyder. Went to Intercontinental Cup, didn't do anything there. Was at the MedFed, didn't do anything there. So he's improving. He did a medal at the Don Kolov tournament, which is a ranking series tournament. I believe he lost to Kurbanov or Situri, I forget which. But he's around, so he's competing. But like I said, Snyder beat him up pretty recently. So I think it's just like, oh, here's Snyder. He's going to beat somebody acclaimed. But maybe Machiavello's growth curve just shoots up and he randomly gives Snyder an amazing match. But probably not. But I could definitely see Machiavello being like the top, like taking if Kyvan Gadsden goes and does MMA after this, which it sounds like he wants to do. Maybe Machiavello is like the number 2 or 3 guy at the weight at 97 and makes a bunch of national teams and gets healthcare. I heard a rumor that Machiavello wants to do MMA too, so maybe he doesn't
Yeah,
do that.
I feel like he's got like the athleticism for it. I mean,
Right.
just the fact that he won a national title, but he was one of the least impressive national champs.
Right. The weight was
Because
weird.
97 was like a terrible weight, and he benefited from Colin Moore getting pinned. But he's improved so much since then,
Mm-hmm.
and just like the 2 years since then, he's really made strides. So I'm actually like, I would consider picking him over Gadsden if they both wrestle in like the 2021 Olympic trials. He's like right up there with everybody after Snyder.
But probably going to lose this one, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to talk too much more about it. We've seen the match already. It was not close. And Snyder is, Nittany Lion Wrestling Club now, and he's definitely improved since he moved. I think the change was good for him. Did get pinned by Mohammedian after that, but has been back and looked fine since then. So I'm just trusting him to be himself, and he pretty much does not lose domestically at this point and doesn't really get pushed very often at this point. So I think it's pretty likely that he wins that one. It's just kind of a Snyder show type of thing. The main event is really cool. I'm with it. I'm about it. Hodge versus Hodge, Bo Nickel, Penn State grad versus Alex Dieringer, former Oklahoma State guy. Both super physical wrestlers, both big underhook users, big manipulators of position and throwing people around. But I just feel like their body types are so different. The way they treat leg attacks are so different. The way they approach a match is so different. Like Bo is basically, this is going to be you're going to hate this, but if I had to explain Bo to somebody who had never heard of him, and they like knew a lot of wrestling, but they didn't know who Bo was, I would be like, oh, he's like Kale. If Kale was mixed with Ben Askren, because like his system on the feet is very much Kale, and then he does a lot of crazy stuff on the mat. But that's a terrible comparison. But if I had to make it really simple, I would say that. But yeah, I really like watching Bo Nickel. He's got the great snap down series into the low leg attacks and ankle picks, and loves to jack people up from underhooks and hit throw bys, and sometimes take them across for throws, which is, I love to see it. And very opportunistic at snatching up, pinning combinations in transition. Like he'll cradle you, he'll go spladle, he'll do whatever. But that's a lot of that was folk style. He's kind of simplified things for freestyle. At first, he didn't. Like if you watch his U23 matches, he kind of has to figure out during the matches, like, oh, I think I need to like do defense and not try to sit the corner and like try to counter everything and scramble through everything. Like I think I probably have to defend these shots, and it's going to make it easier for me to get my game going. So he's learning how to prioritize and become a little more focused in his style, which is awesome. Doing less cool stuff, but it's cooler to me if you have a very concise process and you apply it and you get right to it and you get your scores going and you do your thing, than like doing lots of moves or like doing anything particularly exciting in terms of aesthetics. So I really like the way he's developing. I don't like that he went up to 97. I guess it's because his teammate David Taylor is 86, but I don't know. Snyder's at 97 and Jaden Cox is at 97. So if you're not going to make the team anyway, you should just go to 86 where you can be better. I don't know. But he said he's going to do MMA as well, so I'm not sure about that. But Dieringer has been good. He was like one of the best guys in the world at 79 kilograms. He was ranked top 3 by Seth. And he moved up to 86 for the Olympic year and hasn't been quite as good, which makes sense because, I mean, he has moved up a pretty big chunk of weight. And his style is very much like moving people around and being physical and being big. So I assume that the jump up in weight is going to be difficult for him. But again, we don't know what weight they're competing at. But if Nickel is preparing to compete at 97 and Dieringer is moving up into 86, it might be kind of ridiculous to see them next to each other. I'm actually interested to see them face off.
Didn't Nickel weigh in at like 89 for
when
his
he
match
wrestled
with Jaden
for 92
he
kilograms.
weighed in at like he weighed in at like under 90 kilograms. Yeah. So that's his walking around weight.
I wonder if he's even putting on weight for 97 or he's just going to show up.
I have no idea.
It's going to be weird. But yeah, what's Dieringer's path here? Because I think just based on the size and mostly the size, I'm leaning Nickel already.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like Bo Nickel's wrestling that much.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know, like I do enjoy Dieringer's game a lot. He basically does there's more to it than this, but like the standard kind of like American like push pull, you go post high cross, you go snap down double, but he does it all lefty. And then he's got good like he's got a lot of good stuff clamping down with elbow control and like with an overhook. He has like a carry, he has a near arm far leg sort of dump. He's even headlocked a couple people in the US. But Nickel is really good at like getting you off him, like kind of like getting you loose. Guys who try to be really physical and snap heavy and clamp down tight. He's really good at lengthening their ties and slipping out of it and stuff. And I think that's probably going to be the difference that Dieringer can't get him out of position. And he's also seemed to struggle a little bit at 86 with getting guys far enough out of position that he can shoot. Where like in his matches with Miles Martin, he'll like snap and go and think it's there, and then it's just not. And I think that's probably going to happen again with Nickel. But you do have to wonder how committed Nickel is, where it seems like he's more focused on MMA. He's kind of going down the Ed Ruth path.
Mm-hmm.
For the last year or so, his results just got worse and worse because he just wasn't taking it that seriously.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because he could easily, if he stick around, he could be a guy. I mean, depending on what Jaden does with 92, if he stays up or if he goes back down. But I mean, even like 86, Nickel could be a career wrestler. He could stick around forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think personality wise, he wants to be the guy. So
yeah,
like you said, he wants to go do bigger and better things. And I mean, it's trendy to do MMA. I mean, obviously, I'm an MMA fan first, you could say. So I'm not disappointed about it, but it annoys me when big name wrestlers like say they're doing MMA or like they're gonna. That's all anyone ever asks me about. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do. Like it totally depends. It totally depends on how they look. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm pretty interested just to see what that match looks like.
How do you think Nickel would do if he actually cut weight and went 86? Like, where do you think he would stack up?
In the world or domestically?
Both.
Yeah.
I guess for this, just domestically.
Yeah. I mean, can he beat David Taylor?
No, I think he's part of the group chasing David Taylor. But do you think
Yeah.
do you think he's ahead as a he? Because he lost as a he junior trials last time they wrestled.
No, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, if he was cutting down 86, he'd be a good size there. And I mean, he's beat some pretty good guys in freestyle at this point, but I could see him beating Zahid for sure. I could see him beating Miles again. I could see him beating pretty much everyone other than David Taylor in the country. Just, based on one, his style is pretty good at getting people to, like you said, off him, to not take a lot of attacks on him if he doesn't want them to, if he doesn't feel comfortable countering. And I think once he gets to his process, it's actually pretty good for him. His like normal way of attacking on the feet, really good for freestyle. It's his defense that needs some adjusting. So I think with the size and everything, it would be a good
his
look.
series with Machiavello and with Zilmer at trials in 20. I forget it was the opener trials, but he looked really, really good. Like he could pick apart someone like Derringer, who's just pushing in a little too heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think his main like career would be going to other tournaments and placing at big name events and maybe doing some pro league stuff. And yeah, I mean, he could be national team forever. And I think if the weight's shuffled around some more and maybe Jaden stays up and he goes up to 92, I mean, he could definitely be one of the guys for a long time, but probably not happening. So one of the last times we'll see him wrestle, fairly likely, if he makes the jump pretty quick after the trials, because it doesn't seem likely that he makes it the team, the Olympic team. I'd like him to stick around longer, but probably not gonna. And then for MMA, he has his own gym that he's opening in State College, an American Top Team affiliate. That means nothing. It's not like he's going to train there, I don't think. But because it's an American Top Team affiliate, it makes you wonder that he's going to train at American Top Team down in Coconut Creek in Florida. I don't love that for him. Like, it's a great place to start, I think, like to learn all the skills, become an MMA fighter. But people stay there. People stay there a really long time, and the camp has issues with a few things. One of them being ring craft, which is like the decider at the elite level. Like if you don't have good ring craft, you're not going to beat like really good guys. I don't know. Just my issue with him has always been like being a little processless and being a little too eager to let things come to him. And being really confident in situations. And that's like such an American top team thing to do. He's like, oh, I'm really good. So I don't need to like force you to have the fight that works best for me. Like I can just wait for you to do stuff and I'll counter you. Like I'll win. Hey, you want to clinch with me? I'll beat you in the clinch. If you try to wrestle with me, I can out wrestle you. Like stuff like that. Like it only goes so far. And that just seems like so him. And it's so American top team. And like if he went there, I just know it. I would get so mad if that happened.
Where would you rather see him go?
Bunch of places. With his style, I think to embrace, like, it's not just because I'm saying everyone should go there, but I really think with his style, with the way he does things and like being open to creativity, I think he would fit in an elevation fight team in Colorado. I think it would actually work for him. They have like Corey Sandhagen, other people as well. But I mean, you have one of the best striking coaches in the world, Trevor Whitman, right there. A bunch of wrestlers are heading up there now. I mean, Curtis Blades is their poster child at the moment for heavyweight, but I mean, RG Colgan's up there. Ryan Deacon's been making visits, so they're becoming a more wrestler centric camp. And I just think they have a philosophy of like, here are good things to do, and here is like ringcraft is a thing. They acknowledge ringcraft, which makes me happy. But then also like once you know how all the stuff works, you can figure out your own way for your style to be approached. So I don't know. I think that'd be a nice fit for him. There's a bunch of gyms that would be good. I specifically do not want him in American top team or freaking Jackson Wink. Don't go there. Good wrestlers. Stop that. You stop that right now. They have even worse problems than ATT. It's not even like, oh, all the skill competencies are good, but there's like some bigger meta strategic things that don't work. Jackson's is like, oh, well, our skill competencies are really patchy. Like we don't really get you as good as you should be in these areas, but we like find really janky ways to try to win. And that is just, I wouldn't want anyone to go there unless that was like, I had no belief that they would be able to get the skills to where they needed to be. And then maybe it would make sense. But for a prospect of Nichols' caliber, like, no, not there. So not Jackson's, not American top team. Honestly, it's a weird suggestion. I think still in Florida, he'd be a good Henry Hooft guy because Nichols is very athletic and he's big, and I think he's fairly aggressive when he wants to be. And that's a good camp for wrestlers to learn how to hurt people striking. That's where wrestlers get good at knocking people out. I think he would enjoy that. And guys like Usman and Chandler, pretty good to learn from as well, especially Usman, who's Mr. Clinch. I think Bo could do really well at jacking people up with underhooks against the cage and beating them up and taking them down from there. Since he's so lanky, the cage wrestling meta would be really good for him, which is why AKA is also an option. But there's just, again, the skill competency. There are some issues there. So my official recommendations are EFT or Henry Hooft, which is basically what I say for everybody. Because I feel like the best camp for a good prospect to go to is the camp that I think would be best for anyone. It's like who's doing it best right now overall. And maybe it'll change, but specifically I have trepidations about American top team and Bo Nickel. And I think he would get very far, but then just once he got to near the elite, some issues would start to pop up. And maybe I'm completely talking out of my ass right now, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
That's my ramble about MMA camps for now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would love it if Dieringer were to win this, but probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Most likely not. Yeah, no, I'll pick Nickel just because he's big. And he's pretty good. And I think if they were the same exact weight, I'd probably pick Dieringer. I think he's at a higher level right now, but this seems like a fairly wide frame differential. And like I said, it's Nittany Lions' event. I feel like Penn State, when they design things to go their own way, they feel like it's a sure thing. There's some magic there. They know something that we don't. Where like they're peaking for nationals, that they're peaking for something. Like they come out of nowhere. Like no one knew about this event. All of a sudden there is an event. The matchups get announced like a week ago, and all their top guys are competing. Like I think they've been getting ready for this. That's my theory. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, Beat the Streets Thursday, Rokfin, Nittany Lion card Saturday, and we'll probably do a recap podcast just because there's going to be so many matches that I assume some cool things will happen, something worth talking about, or we ship it. We all go to the Changing Levels podcast or the Fight Library podcast, and we do it there. And put the pressure of producing it on them. That's an idea. We'll see. We'll see how we feel at the moment. All right. Parting words. You working on anything?
I have been trying to get another Out for Revenge out. I've been looking high and low for video of the 2017 semi between Nathan Tomasello and Corey Clark. It should be on ESPN. It doesn't work. Like I have the correct mat and session that it's on, and the video doesn't play. It's not on YouTube anywhere. If it's ever been posted, it's been deleted. So if I give up on that, I'll try and do a different match for Out for Revenge.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that series. Cool. I'm always working on stuff, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But yeah, this week I guess I will talk about it. I'm just writing something about Vlad Khinchegashvili because he's competing, and I'm just looking for somebody relevant to write something about. And I think I'm just going to write about how he scored the points that he scored versus Ahmed Chikayev in the Euro Championship Finals, which is one of his last big wins.
Yeah, that was going to be my match recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's a really good match.
I think it was 2017 Euros.
Yeah. Okay. Then my match recommendation is based on our Bo Nickel conversation. From U23 Worlds, Bo Nickel versus the Iranian, and I want to say it's Shabazi Gavgar. I don't know, something like that. It's the Iranian that he wrestled at U23 Worlds. It's one where like he figures out how to do freestyle like during the match. He's like, wait, I shouldn't do these things. It's really funny. Like the first half of the match is him being kind of confused and getting scored on a little bit, and then the second match he just freaking takes over. It's also a pace thing, but he applies his snap leg attack system, and it's pretty cool. And I wrote an article about that before, but you don't have to read that. Just watch the match. Yeah, and that's it. Watch wrestling. Subscribe to a Rokfin creator so you can watch those matches. And if you still have your Flow Wrestling subscription, you can watch that. I deactivated mine, but it still works.
For the Rokfin thing, you don't have to subscribe through Nittany Lion. You can subscribe through anybody. So if there's some wrestling or MMA or jiu-jitsu channel that you want to support, you pay it through them. They get some cut of your money, and the whatever is left gets doled out based on like proportional to what you watch.
Yep. I think I might do mine our friend Blaine set up the Fight Library on there. So I feel like supporting Blaine's a good idea. If you don't know Blaine and don't want to support him for some reason, I recommend either Jason Bryant, who's basically the king of wrestling media. He does tons of interviews and other types of like guides and content of that nature. Or my homer pick is PA Power Wrestling. And they cover high school, youth, college people, and Pennsylvanians in college. It's just all things Pennsylvania, which is the best state in the country for wrestling. So it's definitely worthwhile. And I think the guys are pretty cool as far as I remember. So Blaine, PA Power, Jason Bryant. You could do it through Willie Saylor. I won't stop you, but I think he's good. I think he's fine for now. But yeah, that's it. Watch it. This was really long, and I'm not gonna edit it. So see everybody for next one.